Hey everyone, Peter here with Forte Trader. Today I just want to give you a little bit of a backstory for those of you that don't know me. So about 9 years ago, I started sparking an interest about the financial markets. At the time I was in sales. I started finally doing good, making some money for my family and more money than I ever have made in my life. And so I started looking at ways to diversify because I knew that was important. And I looked into certain kind of other industries too. Real estate, I was making money by accident just by the homes I was living in. I was just buying homes at the right time, living in them, swapping them out. And I was like, I knew that it was good for me, but as a investment, I was really just entertained with the financial markets. And so I got involved as a student, just like most other people. So at the time, in order to be able to do that, it's easy now, right? You have technology. And so I was like, okay, I can just subscribe for this guy, subscribe to that girl, whatever. Subscribe for a group, and there was groups online with different kind of trading styles, and I've tried it all. I kind of was hopping around a little bit too quick, but I do that because I'd get involved in these schools. I put down all this money, and I put down a lot of time. I figured I'm good at learning, so if I put my time into it, I'm gonna figure it out. But I was hitting walls, and the walls I was hitting was like the stuff that people were telling me and how to do and all that I was following. It seemed like their information was redundant from school to school, but like I couldn't profit as easy as they were showing. It just seemed like something was missing. I could never talk to the other students. Didn't know which one of them were real or fake. I just couldn't figure it out. I started getting paranoid if everything was fake because some people just made it look too easy, and I knew I was applying time. Like I knew I was really, really applying a lot of effort, just like other things I've done in life. I take things very seriously. I apply the time. So, I knew that in order to get out of the corporate kind of environment, having a boss and all that stuff, which most of us do have, I'm not trying to dog it, but, in reality, I'm against it. I just knew that this had to work. But it was the struggling part for me was that I was having a hard time being sustainable on profits. I'd have good winning streaks, and then just one bad streak of losing would just cost me like everything. And so it was making me feel really hopeless in the sense that, I was like, this business plan is going to probably not work. It's just probably not going to work. Like on top of me having a full-time job, on top of the fact now I'm spending less time with my family, my attention span with them really dwindled as I was applying everything to like try to all my free time to trade good. It just seemed like I just was having a lot of sleepless nights, and it also affected me internally. Right, I started feeling like just a failure. Like at my grown age, I just couldn't figure it out. I thought maybe it's just me. Everyone else is doing good. It's just me. But in the feeling of having, I know that I might have to just be working for someone until the day I die. Like I go, or run my other businesses. I had other businesses at the time at this point, and it was like, I was like, man, I'm gonna have to really, I think, come to terms in reality and like work. Like even if it's working for myself, like a solopreneur, you're still working. If you don't go to work, you don't get paid. I was operating a junk business and a dumpster business in Austin, Texas, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna probably end up being in landfills my whole life. The money was good, don't get me wrong, but like, I didn't want that, right? We wanted that freedom with trading because it gives you that time freedom is really what I was going for. But I was just, the walls were just like, boom, bam, boom. I went above and beyond. I'd start calling institutes. I started trying to get in touch with other trade schools, like the owners, and I couldn't get in touch with nobody. The people I got in touch with just would reject me on simple things, even like, I'd put applications in to talk to people just to try to find a door to get in and speak with someone. And they'd be like, oh, like, because I have a lack of college education, I couldn't even get in that angle. They would just shut me off with an email. And I couldn't even reply back. I could reply back, but it didn't matter if nobody replied back to me. I was just ghostwriting to people. And it sucked. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate out there. When you're struggling to really put a lot of effort into one thing, that basket, the other baskets can somehow start getting neglected. So like my business started to dwindle. Like massive investment of marketing I put in, massive equipment, and I was like, because my interest was here, that business started dwindling, and it started taking some hits because I didn't want to, my service level started coming, like when your interest dies on something, the first thing that can start being affected is the quality of service. Just like when you have employees, right? The way you take care of them is the way they're going to reflect the service and quality of your customers. So I was doing that to my own company. It was sucked. Like I was doing that to my own business, and thus, like a snowball, it'd come back and affect my home. But the whole time I'm like applying myself, wondering what the hell, man, am I doing wrong? I remember like one night getting up and telling my wife, she's always supported me in anything I wanted to do. She's taking risk with me, just knowing the fact that I'm pretty resourceful, and I'm gonna get the information I want eventually when I'm looking for it. And I got up in the middle of the night and I was like, I can't sleep. I'm just stressed the hell out. I'm going to just like really start seeking this information, and I'm going to go to above and beyond a different level. I'm not going to keep joining school to school to school. By this time, 3 years had gotten by, and I spent like over 30 grand on like online trading educators. Each one, different style, do this, do that. When this does that, do that. When this does that, do that. And I was like, yeah, but that's not, I was like, there must be some takeaways. Don't get me wrong, that I got out of all that. But I was like, that's not teaching me how to trade, like, so that I could be independent. Like, you're just gonna, when this little thing pops up, do that. Well, why? What is that called? Things like that. And I was getting a lot of that. And I'm not trying to start heat here with other trade schools. I have friends that own trade schools, and there's guys out there that I still follow, like on Twitter and social media, and I support. I'm not after everybody, guys, but a majority of them are crap. That's just the reality. And you probably already all know. I couldn't find sustainability. So I told my wife, I was like, I'm going to find it. There's info out there. There's a way that works for the retail community. And then I'm going to exploit it because I love talking to people. Those of you that know me personally, they're like, oh God, this guy. Yeah, I talk a lot. I know. I'm sorry. Like I have trading friends that have to get me off the phone. They're like, Pete, like it's like 1 a.m., dude. Like, and like their spouses are like probably waiting next to them. Like, what the hell? So I knew I talk good and I love to coach. I like to see people succeed. It's like, when I get this down, I'm going to really, really like relaunch this school. And mind you, Forte Trader had already existed because being in the sales background, one of my first original mentors in the technical world, he taught me technical trading, was going to take over this school originally. And I was just going to be like the sales guy and like a junior trader. And that was why also I got some rejection. It was tough. I was getting rejected by other schools because they like Google me probably, because everyone's so paranoid out there these days. They have to like Google everybody that they like come in touch with. And like a couple guys cussed me out and thought I was like infiltrating their school. Like, better not come here. But they don't realize too, like, it's just like in like martial arts, right? Like, or in MMA, or if you're a fighter or a boxer, right? Like, just like you make it to the top somewhere, right? But you still need to train. Or what's a better example? I mean, just because you're up at a certain level or you're a coach, you still get coached so you can coach better. And so like some people are taking it like really to the max. I was getting closed doors on me even more because they were like, screw you, we're not going to talk to you. And I'm like, no, I need training. Like, yes, I have my own thing because that's my business model. I want to run with it one day. When I get something right, do you have something right to teach me? So I don't know if that was like admission of guilt on other people's mind. Like, we're not going to be able to teach this guy shit. Like, so let's just reject him. Or they were just like, I don't know. There's a lot of egos out there these days, especially in some of us guys. I'm sorry to admit it. The women traders I work with are a little bit more compassionate, and I'm sorry to do that, guys. But that's a little call out, just internal. And hopefully it doesn't cost me. But hey, it's the reality of shit. You guys that are married, that was it. So I just was like calling everybody. Like when we had vacations, my wife's like, oh, we're going to Italy. Like I was like looking for like a firm out there. I'm like, who could I call when I get out to Italy? Like what trade firm could I like talk to? What people could I talk to? What could I, oh, we're going to South America. Like, who's down there? Like in the Brazil area? Like, who's, so it was crazy. Like, my mind was all about, like, I need to get this, and I need to get this at all costs wherever we go. We go to her country a lot in Czech Republic. There's massive traders out there. In case you guys didn't know, English is like a really strong language out there. And in fact, after I discovered my epiphany moment of how I got really involved in spread trading, I discovered that there's tons of them out in her country. Of course, some of them don't want to talk to me now because I have a business. They have a business too. That's just how it works now. Whatever. I'm not scared of anybody. I know what I have to offer is awesome, but that's away from this point. Finally, so like one day, and this is like weeks and months later, like we're fast forwarding. You guys are probably wondering this video is too long anyway. This is the moment where I really want you guys to get to know me personally, who I am. My name is real. It's not padded with a DBA. I'm real. I trade real money. So like my epiphany moment was forwarding weeks and months of just calm people, emails, like firms. People rejected me. You're not a college guy. You're not a college guy. You're too old. Don't hear that. Talking to former prop traders, they're like, oh no, man, you don't even want to be, like getting in touch with those guys anyway. Like it's like a car dealership job. It's like turnaround sucks. They don't pay anyway. You have a college degree going in there and you're getting paid like minimum wage to trade their money. They don't give you a chance to learn. Like I heard so much horror stories. So I was like, they're like, you're in the best place you can be now because you have the technology available at home. If you find the right source like Forte Trader, you have the information you can get for cheap to get you enough to get started and making sustainable money. But then my issue was still like, where's the sustainable training at that time so that I can go back out and share that knowledge? I've had weeks and years of putting things together, and I've probably taken a few little pieces out of mostly what I thought didn't help anyway, to try to build a system and a model. Like when a martial artist becomes a black belt, he has years of experience and he's teaching you these things in a shorter time span also because he's done it and he knows some shortcuts. It still takes you a while to become a black belt. No disrespect there at all in that industry, but they've cut your time down. The better your trainer is, the better they cut your learning curve down. Same thing in trading. So I'm going through a lot of people. Finally, one day, I bought a few books on spread trade. So I started attacking and looking for that. And I was like, I need to find. One day I got on the phone with some guy and I can't say his name. He's up in the Chicago area, but I can't say the name. And plus I respectfully won't, because he said, look, he got on the phone. He says, I have something you can try out. So we spoke for about 1 hour. He gave me 1 hour. He goes, I'm gonna give you about an hour. I have an hour time. He's like, I can't just be on the phone with you constantly from now on anymore. This is gonna be it. You have to take everything I tell you and work with it. And so I told him everything. Like for 30 minutes, we talked about background, where he's from, where I'm from, why I want to do what I want to do. He gave me the realizations of things, like on why I shouldn't think the way I thought on certain things, and just basically shed some light. He said, towards the end, he said, look, I'm going to just tell you this briefly, and I don't want to hear from you again on it. If you do this and do that and do this, just try it out. Okay, with these spread trades that I'm talking about, these futures and commodities. You've been already trading futures. He's like, if you do these things and you get good at that, it's not going to come fast because you're still going to be self-learning it, but just jump on the horse and do it. You'll start seeing how we survive longer. He said, son, he goes, let me ask you something. What is it that you see in all those other guys out there, like that you want so much? I go, well, they're doing all good. Like all these guys are doing good and I'm failing. It must just be me then. He goes, no. He goes, what are you seeing? I go, well, other than the materialistic things, like people are trying to sell things on materialism. I thought even if I don't get that, I could just get a better life, like time freedom, but I can't be consistent or sustainable. You can't reach these guys. They charge you a ton of money. It's my hard-earned money. And at some points, I'm financing this money. And I was like, I'm getting stuck. And I feel like I'm being left hanging all the time. It's like I'm being murdered each time I enter a different school. I'm like being murdered, like a piece of my soul is being like removed. And I'm like coming home and like looking at my wife like this. Like, I'm just like gone and upset. And he said, let me tell you something. So if you stick with what I'm telling you, in the long run, you'll live longer. You'll have less anxiety. And a lot of those guys that you see today are gone tomorrow. They're just doing BS. Don't worry about them. All the people that follow them, that they have a couple successful hits, they'll tweet something. Oh, he's the man. He's the man. He's like, they're not going to be there tomorrow. You want to last. And then you want your future students, because I had told them by now what I was trying to get into coaching. And he says, follow that. You're going to have to self-learn it. So I went out there. I bought as many books as I found, like 3 books in the internet that were like from the 70s and 80s. And I was like, gosh, like the stuff they're talking about in here is so old. Even the English, you have to like run the definition to another definition. Then you have to get that definition and run that definition. And I was like, they're so technical. All this techno babble stuff. Like, when I figure this out, we're not doing this with our students or subscribers. We're going to make it so easy. We're just going to be like, here, we're just going to hand guide, like, here it is. Because the epiphany moment actually just kind of happened. I slipped it, right? I started trading these things. I met brokers that gave me special platforms that traded commodity spreads, and it started coming together. I'd go to work. I'd go do my thing with my business, and my trades worked. I wasn't like monitoring them as hard, like on stocks and crude oil trades. I was just like, oh. In fact, now I spread crude oil trades, but again, still that's more headline driven. That's another topic, but things were just coming together and coming together. I'm like, dude, my win ratios are getting ridiculous over a course of time. I'm winning way more. Like, if I'll take a loser very rarely, and when I do, it was like commissions and scratch a couple of ticks. I was like, I think I had that epiphany moment, but I had to like build it. Okay, this is where everything changed. So, and let's rephrase like profits. Like, when I say like I can make 40%, 30%, 40% every year, like on my money, that doesn't mean I'm talking like my account size, guys. Like, I mean, we make our trades and talk to some of our students. We make 150, 200, 170, 160, 100% on our money based on the span margin that we put in. We put up front. So we're making good money. And in fact, I'm just being conservative when I mention like 40% of my account size. Let's talk about what that really means in a perspective. How much are you currently making with the money in your bank account, in your 401k, with your money fund managers, with your hedge fund friends? How much? Not more than 40% a year. We're hand over fist whooping their ass every year after year. Okay? But we do it simply. We don't think too much. We don't do it all super smart, because smart costs you money. Okay? Did you guys know, how many of you guys know that being too smart costs you money? You guys ever like think about that? Being smart can cost you money. When you try to know too much, it'll cost you money. I can give you a lot of examples. I'll use myself. Well, let's use this one time where I bought, for 11 years before I got into sales even, I was in the litigation business. I used to like serve papers, driving around awesome sport bikes around California for law firms. And I was making, for like, from being 20 years old while my friends were all going to college up until my end of my 30s, I was making good money doing it. It's just eventually, you know, like, cost of living was going this way, especially in Cali, and here was the income. It was like, it just paid 40 grand a year, 40 grand a year, and that was it. That's when I got into sales and started making 6 figures a year, but that's another topic. So I was here, and I was like, I bought this Yamaha R1 from like a friend of a friend, and he's an engineer, and like he made like missiles at Lockheed, you know, and so I'm like, he's cool, he had money, had restaurants everywhere, he'd give us food, like, I mean, Massive. Just great guy. And I bought this motorcycle off of him, and he gave me a really good deal. I was like, dude, like, oh my God, like, this bike, it was sick. It had all the mods and everything. He's like, oh yeah, I put on all these mods, like, you know. I'm like, you're giving me a good deal. And he's like, I'm giving you a good deal because you're a friend of a friend and I don't need it. Like, you know, he was just humble with his money. So I bought this bike. Like the next day, like I'm driving, like I'm riding and like a mirror like flew off almost, like bounced off my chest. And like I had to grab, I was like, oh shit. It was like, I put it like in my sport jacket. And like, I get home, I parked the bike and like a fender fell off. I was like, what the like I called him. I was like, "Hey, dude, like, is like the engine gonna fall off next? Like, what's going? Like, are you okay, man? Like, what?" I was like, "I don't know now. If I want, like, this was a really good deal." Like, he was like, "Oh, dude," he goes, "I forgot. I took the bike apart just to get to know the bike. Like, he did all these things and like engineer mind, smart mind. He didn't put it back together. He made a good damn missile. We've never heard about like missiles being bad." And I talked to my friend. I go, "Dude, like this guy makes missiles for the U.S. military." What we ended up figuring out, and I did some research on this, is like smart can be like super critical, but on the basic things, you would think they're just like, you would use the word maybe dumb or something, but I'm not calling him dumb. I started thinking about it as I was a kid growing up. I'm like, I've always been like an engineer mentality. Like I build things. I used to break things when I was a kid just to put them back together. My grandfather used to bring me old electronics. He's like, fix this, fix that. And I'm like, put things together. And I was like kind of smart. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, it's true. When you start stepping back in life sometimes and just think, are you overcritically thinking things? You're being too smart. You cost yourself money. You cost yourself money being too smart about things. Like another example, when I got in the car industry at the end of 2009, and just 2010, I started taking an edge 3 months later. I didn't know jack. And I hated it because there was like abuse in car dealerships. But like for like the first 3 years, like it was crazy. I was making six figures. I was kicking butt and taking names. I was like in top 10 regional awards for the brand I was selling. But like there was like a weird curve that happened at some point where I was making less. One, I started losing interest with the business, and that's what it costs you. If it's not here, then it's going to cost you money. So obviously, yeah, when you start losing passion for something, it's going to cost you. But really, it's because I started knowing a lot. And when you start getting to know a lot, unless you sit up at management and do something in different places like I was, and then I moved states, and that's another long, dramatical story. But once you know too much, sometimes it costs you money because you start trying to dig into every deal and trying to figure everything out and stuff. It costs you money. And so like I used to tell the new sales guys, like, stop trying to figure out every damn deal. Just make it happen with passion and relationship. This is a relationship business. And sales is a service business. So like, right now I might be selling something on this website, but it's a service business. I'm here to serve you. And if I don't make you better, then you're not going to tell your friends and your friends and their friends and your family that you're doing good and the product works, is sustainable, number one, but it's not really a product. We're selling our relationship to you. And I try to tell these young people too, like, stop trying to learn the dynamics of the system because it's going to cost you money. When I'm working a deal at a desk and you come and you're like, but how about this and how about that and how about this? And I'm like, dude, you're going to like, you want to like ruin the deal because those guys are ready to buy and you're just here like, don't be too overcritical. And so that's what I meant by smart costs money. Being too smart, being too much knowledgeable in something can cost you money because you're going to ruin your own deal just like your trades. Put on the damn trade. Stop trying to go all around the world. Some people want to go all around the world with it. All around the world. And when you try to figure all that out, what happens is you cost yourself money. You know, like I spread trade, very simply, I show people in our camp the easy stuff. There's way beyond technical stuff. But when we start getting and adding and putting all these things together, we end up costing ourselves money. What happens is you start contradicting your own self, like your own ideas. Like, this is a seasonal idea, but on the technical idea, it doesn't make sense. Or this is a seasonal idea, but the report says that. Or here's a seasonal idea, and here's a headline. Now, this works pretty good, and I teach people that. You know, that's why we're still actively trading. We're not day traders. We're active traders. But like, you know, so but when we put too much recipe in and just load it up because you get to know this, I got to know that, I want to know that, but how about that? But how about this? But how about that? You start costing yourself money. You're being too smart. So a little bit of my epiphany story, a little bit of my origin for you guys to get to know me, and a little bit about my theories on overthinking stuff. Why our 5-hour boot camp works really good with our seasonal spread trades. We use a little bit of different edge in it too. I can't give it all away. But I built the system exactly for people on the go that want to make exponential amounts of money. Because when I got into trading, like I didn't get into trading to make a little bit of money. I got into trading to take away pain, to take away uncomfort, take away, you know, like I want to pay for our vacations in full. I don't want to finance them. I want to, you know, like that kind of stuff. And then exponentially get yourself up into new levels and things, whatever you want to do. Whether you want to regrow, you know, exponentially grow your trading account and just only do that, or you're in a stage where you're already like semi-retired or retired, or this fits every category. And that's what we do, guys. That's all we do. We keep things simple. I'm thankful now that we have a partner coming on board, and she's one of my beta students, and she's fine. It's coming together for her. I'm glad. And she keeps it simple. She keeps it simple. She doesn't overthink things. And there was a time where she could, because she's too smart. She's smart too. And I don't blame her, because I'm the same. Because we want to just figure everything out and know it before we take, and, you know, or like read every bit of a contract. But the thing is it's coming together for her. She's happy. I'm happy. And it makes me more glad the more I see people do good. But again, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to be on the markets. All you need to do is get started, and you get started with the right kind of people, and you get started with the people that care. You'll feel it. You'll know when someone's there for you and concerned about your success. You'll feel it. Yeah, I mean, it's human relationship at that point. You have to. But, you know, you got to put a little bit of your skin in the game. And so one of my callings in life is to always help. I really love it. It makes me feel good. I still pull over when I see somebody needs help crossing the street. I do it. I do it because not enough people do. And because I love trading, this was the greatest place to be and build our system in our life, in our group and family around this. So I hope you guys got a good understanding about who I am, okay, and what I do, why I do what I do. And I'm thankful that you spent the time here and got to know me. And I look to see you on the inside. Actually, even look to see you on the top.